This morning, the Labor Department released the May jobs report, and it was a strong report across the board. When one gets a jobs report, you look for a couple of things. How many jobs are created, what happens to the unemployment rate, and, in recent months, what's going on with real wages in the U.S. economy. All three checkboxes were very good this month. We saw 280,000 jobs and revisions upward in past jobs reports. We're getting more jobs in the economy. We saw the unemployment rate actually rise, but it rose for a good reason. Labor force participation ticked up by 0.1% from 62.8 to 62.9. That's good news where discouraged workers are coming back into the labor force. And the real strong report was in the wage growth. We saw average hourly earnings rise at an annual rate of 3.9%. If you pull out about a 1.5 of inflation, that means real wage growth of about 2.5%. That's tremendous. The only really bad news comes in thinking about the larger context of this report. We have a relatively slow-growing economy, say 2.5% growth. The only way to create this many jobs in a slow-growing economy is to have very poor productivity growth. That's probably part of the reason we saw so many jobs, and over the long term, poor productivity growth will come back to haunt both workers and firms.
How does this compare with other jobs reports in the past? Is this a good sign, or are we anomaly in the other ones?
March was a disaster. It was a real horror show. April was middling, and we see this as a strong report. So we're moving in the right direction. I think the big implication is going to be for the Federal Reserve. There's been a lot of chatter about the Fed not raising rates this year. Indeed, the IMF took a step that was very unusual and said they shouldn't raise rates this year. I think the Fed was going to raise rates anyway. This really moves the pressure on them to do it sooner as opposed to later. My guess is September rate increases in play.